What is up and what is going on YouTube? This is your boy NightOwl141, and today we are finally going to be talking about my thoughts and opinions on the CoD WW2 Beta. Now, as I previously mentioned, the reason why I delayed making this video for so long is because I didn't want any emotions to get in the way of me reviewing this beta. When I was playing it, there were periods where I thought it was awesome, then I thought it was garbage, and it just fluctuated like that. And I didn't want to be in any state where, I think the game is bad right now, and let me go make a, thoughts and opinions video. I just didn't think it would be fair. So, just for reference, I've spent at least 40 and upwards of 60 hours into the beta in the period of 2 weekends. I absolutely went ham on it. And so I think that definitely I am somewhat qualified to talk about it, as opposed to, for example, the Infinite Warfare beta, which I only played for literally half an hour, right? So I've divided my feelings on the beta into three categories: pros, cons, and things that I'm not sure about, aspects of the game that we need more info on to truly see, and just generally these things that I don't think we can fairly judge from the beta. By the way, the gameplay is just there in the background for the sake of it being there. You can go ahead and do something else and just listen to the audio. That's what's important here. Gameplays are average, whatever. I want you to focus on what I have to say. Right, so let's start us off with the pros. The first thing that I think was really well done in this game, and Sledgehammer really managed to pull it off, was that gritty World War II feel. Over the past 3 years, the Call of Duties have really kind of felt like a bunch of kids playing paintball. They were not very serious. Let's say, Black Ops 3 was infamous for having dabs and Gangnam Style and whatever, right? And all these bright, flashy armor pieces, and it all looked pretty ridiculous. That's gone in CoD World War II. The colors, the game is still colorful, it looks good, but it's more gritty. You have screams and shouts, there's blood and gore. The gun sounds have a good punch to them. They don't feel like paintball guns. They feel real, right? And it just kind of brings you back to that era of COD 4 and World at War that, I kind of missed it to an extent. So I'm really glad that they managed to nail down that atmosphere. Another thing that I really liked that I did not expect from the game was the wide selection of guns available. Now, typically when you have a World War II game, there's just guns that you expect, right? The Thompson, the M1 Garand, the MP40, whatever. But in CoD World War II, there are actually some guns that I know existed, but I've actually never seen them in an FPS. First of all, there's the Lewis gun. I know it was used in World War II. I've never seen it in an FPS before. There's the Johnson machine gun, which I've only ever seen in a strategy game called Men of War. There is the toggle action shotgun, which I've never seen or heard of before. Then apparently there are going to be some other weapons that we've never seen. For example, the double-barreled shotgun. It's not just a double-barreled shotgun. It's a standard issue Luftwaffe weapon that was given to the pilots for when they crash landed. So I think that's really cool, not just putting in the standard guns that we expected, but to surprise us with something new. Another thing that I do like, or that I did like, I was quite surprised by it, was the war mode. So when it comes down to Call of Duty, I am strictly and 100% a TDM kind of guy. I'm going to play TDM 90% of the time, and the other 10% I may turn on Search and Destroy. But that's it. I don't play Domination, I don't play Hardpoint, I don't play Uplink or any of that, stuff. So I really wasn't thinking much of war. It's kind of like, I'm not here to play Overwatch. I'm not here to escort a tank or play this. But when I turned it on, I found that it had quite a different feel to it than anything else in the game. The fact that there are no kill streaks and that it doesn't count your KD really just changes how that game type flows, you know? A lot more people are inclined to, PTFO. You can do various things. So like on the bridge section, for example, you don't strictly have to build the bridge. You can also counter snipe, or you can go to the left side behind some sandbags and take an M1 Garand, take out the machine gunner. Basically, there's various different ways that you can play war and still help your team. There is that sniper clip on my channel. We didn't win that match, but I took out a lot of them. We should have won that, basically. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about, which I liked in this game, was the map layout. Now, hear me out. I think that the maps have a good, layout. They're well-made maps, let's say. The problem with them is the flow. I'll get into that in a bit. But I think that when you look at Aachen or Ardennes, Gibraltar, whatever, you can actually see a map that is pretty well designed. It has all possible ranges. It has clearly defined flow. And I just think that the maps in this game are gonna be good. In all honesty, Advanced Warfare maps were some of my favorite maps in the entire CoD series. Maps like Solar, Green Band, we had Defender. I really loved all of those maps, and I'm 100% certain that Sledgehammer Games can deliver a good map when they want to. And now let us discuss the cons, which I think there's more of than the pros. But at the same time, this could be due to the fact that it was a beta, and I didn't play it enough to where maybe some of these things would change. But first and foremost, and I've talked about this before, we have game balance, or rather the lack of game balance. Balance in this game is non-existent. It is horrible. There is no reason to use anything other than the Type 100, STG-44, and the PPSH, and maybe the Thompson, right? And even though I listed 4 weapons, right, you have to understand, there's no point in the Garand, there's no point in the carbine, sniper rifles, LMGs. There's entire weapon classes in this game that they have no purpose. These are the greatest guns out there. They're fully automatic, they have relatively high rates of fire, and they have relatively low recoil. And with this game, which has horrible aim assist, I'll talk about that in a bit, those are really the things that you need. So, essentially, it was kind of a situation the same as it was in A-dubs. In A-dubs, if you had an HBR A3 when the game launched, and someone beat you with a BAL, that's it. You had to accept it. There was nothing you could have done in that situation differently that would have gotten you the kill. You gotta accept it and move on. And that's how it was with me in this game, If I had a Garand and I was at long range and I started tapping, controlled shots at a dude, but he had an STG-44 rapid fire and he just went ham on the trigger on me, that's it. Can't do anything. You just have to accept that death and move on. And I think that this will really impact the game severely. If they keep the same balance that's here in the beta, it's going to be very boring. It's going to be kind of like A-dubs. There's going to be 1 to 2 guns that are good. Everybody's going to be using those, and there's going to be no variety in the game, right? So please, 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 Sledgehammer Games, do not let that happen to you. It's happened once before with A-dubs. Don't let it happen again. Balance out the STG, balance out the submachine guns, and, fix the fucking aim assist. Speaking of fixing stuff, there's a ton of technical issues in this game that, they were really, really weird. So, first of all, for whatever reason, my beta build never updated. Or rather, well, okay, so here's how it goes, right? I downloaded the beta and I played it on the first weekend, right? When they upped the level cap and they gave us new weapons, I got the new weapons, right? I could level up more. But some of the changes that they put into the beta, I never got them in my build. I don't know how to explain it to you. So in the second weekend, they reduced the sprint out time. Exclusive Ace showed it on his channel. In my game, the sprint out time was the same as before. Exclusive Ace showed that when you spawned, you no longer had incendiary shells loaded into the gun. You had to manually load them every time you spawned. For me, they were still loaded into the gun when you spawned. So I'm not sure what happened here, but it was really weird and I kind of didn't expect it. And it may have, just made the experience a bit more sour. I really wanted to try out that new sprint out time. Unfortunately, I couldn't, so that's unfortunate. And the second thing, I will point it out, yes, hit detection in this game was awful. There were times when I would shoot somebody like 3 or 4 times and the bullets would just disappear. I'm sure if I go through the videos, I will find something and I'll upload it as a short little 10-second clip in the future. But basically, man, it sometimes felt really bullshit, especially when it was on play of the game. Like, you can see yourself shooting a dude and he's just not dying, he's just soaking those bullets like nothing's happening. It was really, really frustrating. And now finally, I've already mentioned aim assist several times and also throughout the videos on the channel. I couldn't quite pinpoint what was going on here, right? I knew there was something off with the aim assist, but I didn't know what it was. And then I watched Drifter's video called Criticisms of CoD World War II. So the way the aim assist works is it's not sticky aim, so it doesn't stick to the target, it just slows down your aim. So when the target is strafing left and right, you're not sticking to them, but your aim is still incredibly slow. And this basically means that if somebody has a submachine gun and they're strafing you while they're shooting, you're dead. You cannot do anything about that unless you also have a submachine gun and you're also strafing. And also, I want to point out, the aim assist range, the range at which your aim slows down, is incredibly short. I'm going to try and look for, this clip where I had a scoped M1 Garand. Somebody was literally at, just barely outside of SMG range, something like 20 meters or so, and I had 0 aim assist. Now, this could be, this is what I was thinking, right? This may be due to that beta build thing I talked to you about earlier, right? Maybe my build just didn't have aim assist. I mean, it sounds crazy, I know, but the thing with the sprint out time really baffled me, so who knows? That could be the thing. And finally, the final segment I want to go over as far as cons are concerned are the divisions. Holy shit, is this system bad. I don't know what came over Sledgehammer Games. I don't know if you could find me a single person that prefers the old creator class system to Pick 10. I think that the Pick 10 system was the best thing that was ever introduced into Call of Duty. It came in Black Ops 2, and basically it allowed you to create your class however you wanted. If you didn't use grenades or sidearms like I did 90% of the time, why should you be forced to have them? Trade them out for more perks or more attachments, whatever you want. On the other hand, if you like camping, trade some of the perks or attachments for shock charges and trip mines. You could create a variety of different builds for different situations. On top of that, some weapons like the KN-44, for example, from Black Ops 3, it just didn't need that many attachments. I usually ran it with Quick Draw and foregrip. So on that class, I'm probably going to take a frag grenade. The Pharaoh submachine gun, for example, did need a lot of attachments. I put Quick Draw, foregrip, stock, and fast mags, and maybe even like rapid fire. I know you had to put a ton of attachments on the Pharaoh. So naturally, you didn't really have a lot of room for perks or equipment, but that made the gun incredibly good at gunfights. In this game, you are yet again forced to take a sidearm, forced to take grenades that you will never use if you're somebody like me, and what this also leads to is a whole fuck ton of nade spam. You're gonna die to nades like a third of your deaths. I'm not even kidding you. It's so annoying when you're like on a 20 streak and boom, somebody threw a grenade under your feet, they cooked it, you can't do anything about it, you're dead. Or rather, you can do something about it, and that is take the armored division. The only problem is the armored division is total shit. So when it comes down to the divisions, here's the gist of it, right? You basically have armor, which has flak jacket, tac mask, and fireproof. You have mountain, which has ghost, dead silence, and I think enemy skulls don't appear when they're dead. You have expeditionary, which has the incendiary shells, throw equipment faster and further, replenish equipment and get more equipment. You have the airborne division, which gets faster sprint, sprint for a longer duration, and mantle objects for a longer duration. And then you have the Riflemen division. So, for whatever reason, they decided to make the Riflemen division significantly better than all the other divisions. For some reason, right? Rifleman gets a third attachment, stock, meaning you're moving faster while you're aiming, and additional ammo. And I'm just sitting here and thinking, why the fuck would I use anything else? Really? Are you really gonna trade another attachment, stock, and more ammo for what? Flak jacket and tac mask? For ghost and dead silence in a game where you can't hear footsteps anyway? By the end of this beta, I actually, out of 5 classes, 4 of them were Riflemen. And the last one was airborne, just so I can have a silencer on the Thompson, because it didn't affect it that much. It's absolutely crazy, and what's worse is, LMGs, for example, they're meant to be used with the armor division, right? With the bipod. Well, guess what? That's never gonna happen, because you need 3 attachments on them, and you need stock. Also, they don't recoil that much to begin with, so I'm pretty sure I will get the armor division to level 5 or 6, get the classified weapon, and then just never use them again. This seriously needs to be reworked, or I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a ton of Rifleman division. They're just so much superior to the other ones. No matter what the other benefits may be, it's just not worth trading so many crucial things. I mean, just the 3 attachments are already incredibly powerful. On top of that, you have stock, one of the most important attachments in the entire game, and you don't have to run scavenger because you have more ammo. So that division system needs a hardcore revision. They need to change stuff up. They need to allow us to take perks from the other divisions, right? So kind of mix and match them. Or they just need to redistribute what Rifleman has to some of the other divisions, because as it currently stands, it's ridiculous and no one's going to play anything other than Rifleman. And now for the final part of this video, I want to talk about that section where I'm just kind of not really sure and I can't actually formulate a proper opinion on the matter. And those are 2 things. First of all, the map flow, and second of all, the streaks. So, I talked about how there's no flow in the game. It is, one of my previous videos. Unfortunately, I watched a video today from the one Boom, who basically said that you can't judge a game until you've put enough hours into it. I hated Infinite Warfare's map flow because I only spent half an hour in the beta. It's just not enough time to properly assess if a map has good flow or not. I don't know these maps and I don't know the spawns yet. So, I think that, you know, my video about flow, it kind of still stands for point 2 hawk. You're getting killed from behind constantly, at least I was. The spawns can flip like 3 or 4 times. Like you die, flip, die, flip, die, flip, and it's just crazy, right? People can spawn behind you, like they do it all the time. At least they did it for me. But I think that if I learn the maps more, that's not going to be happening as much. I could be wrong here. Maybe the maps really have awful flow, but I don't want to make a premature opinion. And then come the streaks. So I know that everybody has been complaining about the kill streaks sucking in CoD World War II, but hear me out here, right? First of all, let's consider how bad the streaks really were. The glide bomb could get you 1 or 2 kills, but that wasn't really intended to get you more anyway. The paratroopers, after they were buffed in the second weekend, could get you about 5 to 7 kills, right? The strafing run always got me about 2 kills and sometimes 3 or 4, so that's actually pretty good for the price. And the flamethrower was totally ridiculous. You could get like 7 kills with it if you just pulled it out and, you know, did a short little poof and then put it back, put it back in. So essentially, you could get 7 kills with a flamethrower, which I think was either a 6 or 7 kill streak, and that's pretty good return on investment, you know. All things considered, these low kill streaks, you know, weak ones, they were pretty good in this game. You see, I can't really talk about if the streaks are good or not because we haven't actually gotten access to the ball turret or like dogs, if there are going to be dogs in this game. Because if you think about it, almost every single Call of Duty has these mid streaks that are kind of ass. You know, you have like the Lightning Strike in Black Ops 3, that's never going to get you a lot of kills. In A-dubs, you had a ton of them, like the Vulcan, you know, the laser cannon. There was that Goliath robot that you got into. So every Call of Duty has those. We just can't judge the streaks based off of like the mid-range streaks. You know, it's just not really fair. The kills, the UAV being at 5 is okay in my opinion because, you know, it's the kind of game where most people are not going to have ghosts, so it having a somewhat higher price is okay. And in the second beta, when they made it so it's not that easy to take down, I think it was quite fair. The UAV should be taken down very easily with MGs, medium difficulty with rifles, and then pretty hard with machine guns. That was indeed what happened in the second weekend of the beta. And overall, we just have to see all the streaks. We can't make, you know, we can't really assume anything. It's easy to say, oh yeah, the streaks are going to be ass. We don't know. We just saw the mid-range streaks. And you know, that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. Those are my final thoughts on the beta. I know it's been quite a handful. This video is going to be significantly longer than some of the previous videos, but I had a lot to talk about it. I played it quite a bit, and honestly, I have to be 100% honest with you folks. I'm pumped. You know, I'm hyped for this game. I hope this game turns out to be awesome. You know, I don't want any game out there to be bad. No, I want every single game that I play to be able to enjoy it and have fun. And I just don't want a game to fail and to be boring and miserable like Ghosts was, for example. And that's going to close out this video, ladies and gentlemen. If you have played the Call of Duty World War II beta, right? If you found some of my opinions to be wrong, you disagree with them, whatever, why don't you write down in the comments what you think. Of course, don't forget to drop a like, it really helps out, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. That's it for today, boys. I'll catch you later. This is Night Owl 141 signing off.